Hi people and hello my Chili con Carnage crew, it's Chili here, the man who produces Iron from My Eyes, and I'm doing a 5-minute review on Deep Purple's newest album, Equals One. In the hall of iconic rock bands, you would find all the major influential acts. Rolling Stones, Hendrix, Black Sabbath, but there is one that deserves its name to be read atop of this list, and it's Deep Purple. And this is mostly because of the riff that made a million guitarists start their journey into the noble art. And now Deep Purple are back with a new lineup for their 23rd record, and the reason for this review of course, so let's take a look at this album and find out if it's any good or a pile of crap. The album saw 3 singles being released with Portable Door, Pictures of You and Lazy Sod. First of all, I've got to say Portable Door is the perfect single to release in anticipation for a new Deep Purple record. It has that quintessential sound of the band, however in their more newer and refined tone, while still dipping a toe into the past. It's a short song, which is a reoccurring motif that can be found on this record, as no tunes are longer than 5 minutes in duration. As for the next 2 singles, I have to wonder if the band are trying to tease an Easter egg, as the song's names edge closer to their much more famous counterparts, with Pictures of Home or Lazy. I mean, you had a song already named that, but you just added the word sod to it, pretty much becoming the definition of both songs at once. In the end, Pictures of You seems to deal with the unrealistic values set by Instagram idols, which is not a topic I thought Deep Purple would be covering, but unless I read it wrong, here we are. The last single, Lazy Sod, is actually a pretty solid tune with one of those classic guitar hook openings. You know the type. It's the bread and butter of rock and roll riffs. Anyway, this song was written about an exchange he had when a journalist stated that he had only written 500 songs, compared to Dolly Parton who wrote 5,000, and that's where the namesake comes from. Anyway, I don't think the comparison is fair when one of these songs is Smoke on the Water. After all, it's quality, not quantity. One of the curiosities I had about this record was how their new guitarist, Simon McBride, formerly of, Sweet Savage fame I suppose, would fit into the band as they merge into their Mark IX lineup. Well, my curiosities were at ease after reading he has actually been performing along many side projects of the band for many years, notably with Don Airey for his solo works and Ian Gillan too, so his choice to replace Steve Morse was very natural I imagine. Oh, and by the way, I did a video a couple of years ago in regards to the lineups throughout these years and the album some time ago, so if you need a refresher for all the Mark lineups, go and check that thing out. Another thing I didn't know Deep Purple were into was the math rock scene, but here we are dropping subtle hints with albums like Infinity and Equals One or Perpendicular. If you weren't aware, Ian Gillan does lectures on the side for advanced mathematics. One mistake and he'll scream at you so loud that you better learn fast or you'll go very deaf.
How can 1 times 1 equaling 1?
Going back to the music on here, and while I gotta say it's not a bad album, but it's perhaps a rather vague effort with little tracks that really stood out and were worthy of being added to the best of Deep Purple collection. And looking back at it, it has been the same story for the last few albums too, dating back to Rapture in the Deep. None of these albums have been offensive slights against the band, and the music is just fine, but none of it has been memorable either. The only exception I can think of was the bonus track, Paradise Bar from Infinite, but I have no idea why this tune was left off the record. How is Deep Purple so blasé and have become a pedestrian band in the process? They held the world record at one stage for performing the loudest concert ever. Their concerts and audio levels were a thing of infamy, with massive amounts of power required to keep up with the band, but now they are just going through the motions and not rocking the boat by writing safe rock and roll songs that are 4 minutes in length, and this is Deep Bloody Purple we are talking about. I don't want to sound like one of those people who says ever since Ritchie Blackmore left the band they haven't written a decent tune, but ever since Ritchie Blackmore left the band they haven't written a decent tune. Now with their new lineup, the shake-up is non-existent, and perhaps they played it a bit too safe with their new guitar player, who may need a bigger voice or wider range on their follow-up effort. Overall, I would give this album a score of 5 million chilies on the spicy scale, with my favourite tracks being Old Fangled Thing, Lazy Sod and Portable Door. At times, there are almost hints of something happening. Almost. but alas, it never amounts to anything, and it's rather egregious if not for this fact alone. I wasn't expecting something in the caliber of Machine Head or Burn, but I was thinking that the band might feel a little bit like throwing caution to the wind on here and trying something new, instead of releasing the quintessential equivalent of a Deep Purple album which has the bowling bumpers put up and using that little kiddies ramp to launch their efforts into the public. It can't fail, but it wasn't going to leave a big mark either. Tell me what you think of the album below if you've listened to it, or if not, make sure to go out and play the record. If you've enjoyed this content, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to us, and stay notified for future music related content because it keeps our manager happy at the end of the day. We are also on Discord, Instagram, Facebook, and all those other social platforms if you want to check us out. As always, people, you have a great day and stay spicy.